Cowboys for a hot second, maybe. But that was the only team. But Ole Miss and Mississippi, they were horrible. They were horrible during that time. So you're talking about all these people that really wanted to see the best football players play. And you're talking about, again, what Alcorn had from the defense, what Valley had. So, again, I just wanted, because that was the season that Valley will literally never forget, honestly.
So let me ask you this here, because you're from Mississippi, Mr. Campbell. And in Texas, integration where University of Texas, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Houston, even in the 80s, right, they weren't taking as many blacks as they ultimately would end up taking. But they were taking, I would say, 20. There was 20 guys on the team, maybe 15, maybe 15, 20 guys on the team. What did the Ole Miss team look like in the 80s?
Mississippi State and Southern Miss was really black. The problem with Ole Miss is that they didn't want to take them. Nobody would go. You would never. When they would try to recruit, first of all, they never recruited Jackson because they knew not to even come to Jackson. So they would stay up there and get a lot of kids. They would get half the guys from Memphis, and they would get.
Okay. Yeah.
So they would never ever really get. And there was a guy named Chris Osgood from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Was the first big-time player that went to Ole Miss. And he shouldn't have never went. Everybody said he should have went to Jackson State. He should have never went to Ole Miss. And Chris Osgood took his butt up there to Ole Miss and ruined. But he was like the number one quarterback in the country. And
Coach T.
So, you back, Coach?
Hey, I'm back, man. But look, my phone went dead, man. My phone went completely out.
Hey, Coach, I was just making a point, and then we could just close out because I just wanted to close out with this last thing. I was telling them how historic the game was because that was the time, and it's never happened again, where it was clearly almost 20,000 white people that came to see you guys to watch the game.
Oh, it's no doubt because everybody that I ran into that was white said they were at that game.
Even if they weren't there, huh, Coach?
And they were for real. They said that every time I go places, and they'll say, "Look, man, I remember that game that y'all played in the state. I was there. That's what they would say. But you know what, though, guys? Even though we played that game, no one never talked about who won.
No.
At the end of that game, even though they beat us 42-28, they did a hell of a job on a drive, and they scored 35-28. And I think they had like a 13-14 play drive with Moon, and that's how they beat us. And then I don't count that interception at the end because Hope was holding. He was holding. Jerry slipped down, and he stepped in front of the pass and picked the ball off, and that's how they ended up making it look like it was a lopsided score. But that game was a tight game the entire game, though.
Well, Coach, that to be that is not only Mississippi history, that is a black history, that game. Because again, you're looking at people consider Jerry Rice the greatest of all time. Right. You one of the greatest all-time college quarterbacks of all time. And for all the people, and that's what I was telling Rocky now, I grew up in a time, and Coach, you notice every game there were NFL quality players, first rounders, second rounders, and things like Hall of Famers that went on to be Hall of Famers. So to be in that stadium that day, and I'll tell you this too, and Coach, one of the things as a Jacksonian, because Ole Miss would come in that stadium and Mississippi State, and they never sold it out.
Yeah, 40,000 was the most they had put in.
And the pride that we had, it said it took the black schools to sell their stadium out. And that was just a big thing in Jackson, the pride. And Jackson State wasn't involved because they put 50,000 with it. And just to see between the Jackson State game of 50,000 and you guys with Alcorn, 64,000, I think nobody will ever forget that. And Coach, I'm just telling you as somebody, and again, we had a lot of kids that's on the playground. We would run that Valley Stack. We would be in the street. And I'm going to say this, and I want to end it because, like I say, the rest of it, but that was the most important thing. Of course, you guys played in the playoffs and everything. But, Coach, to this very day, the Minnesota Vikings is running the Valley Stack 40 years later. How do you think about that when you're watching the NFL and they still run the Valley Stack?
Well, that's what you talk about legacy. When you can build and people can can trust and believe in what you did 40 years ago, that means you had something good. And for teams to continue to run the stack offense and to run the formations that we ran back in the day, I can't say enough about my coach. And I know he's resting and he's looking down on us from heaven, but he was a genius. And a lot of times people didn't give Coach Cooley the credit that he deserved. You talk about Jerry and you talk about myself, and we both are in 7 Hall of Fames, and Coach Cooley need to be in those Hall of Fames too. I mean, because it wasn't the Coach Cooley, it wouldn't be no Willie Totten, it wouldn't be no Jerry Rice. And I know that for a fact, and I said that at his funeral, that Coach Cooley deserved and he need to be in the Hall of Fame. In the Mississippi Hall of Fame, he's in the SWAC Hall of Fame, he's in the Valley Hall of Fame, but he need to be in the College Hall of Fame because Coach Cooley did some great things that no other coach even dreamed of back then.
Well, let me ask you this here. Mr. Campbell mentions the Valley Stack. That's really the first time I've heard it coined, that phrase. Again, I'm a newbie to SWAC and HBCU, so correct me if I'm wrong. But this one thing I do know is that a lot of times when they start talking about the run and shoot or the spread offense, they bring up names like Mouse Davis and Eric Coryell and all this kind of stuff. How does that make you feel being part of that pioneering offense? And like I say, I don't know what Mouse Davis and Eric Coryell's contribution to the spread offense was, but can you say without a doubt that there was no spread offense or proof of concept of the spread offense until you guys ran it in Valley?
Well, I think Portland State was running with Neil Lomax. I think they were running a similar to the run and shoot, the wide open. Coach Cooley didn't call it the run and shoot. Coach Cooley he called it the express, and that's kind of where I got the name from. Because we used to have 5 receivers. No one were using 5 receivers, but I like to think that Coach Cooley was a mastermind of putting that offense together. Whether it was a plan or he didn't plan it, but it turned out to be remarkable, and everybody is using it. And I would really like to see people give Coach Cooley his credit. I mean, I know he's not here to see it or to hear it, but I'm still here. Jerry's still here, and we know where it originated from. It originated from Mississippi Valley State University.
Well, let me ask you this here, Coach, because I'm a old, and this is gonna be the football nerd in me, and I'm gonna ask you this question. And some of you guys may know it, whatever. But were there any option routes in your version of the spread offense, or was every route predetermined?
It was predetermined based on the coverage. If they was gonna give us man, we knew exactly what route they were gonna run. If they gave us zone, we knew exactly what we were gonna run. So we really had like 2 plays, and those plays were based off of what the defense was gonna give us. We're gonna have a guy going inside, we're gonna have a guy going outside. Now you guys make y'all mind up who's gonna go inside and who's gonna go outside. Cause all I know is if I'm gonna throw the ball to the inside, I'm gonna throw it to a spot. Whoever get to that spot is the one gonna catch the football. So it got to be kind of a masterpiece. It's hard to really try to defend it because those guys, we practice so much. Like I say, we practice 4 times a day, and we knew exactly. Everybody knew exactly their role. Everybody knew exactly where they were supposed to be on the field, and it was hard to stop. It really was hard to stop.
Now, Coach Cole, while you dropped off, he mentioned that you at one point coached at your alma mater for several years and had some success while you were there. Did you run a version of the Gunslingers offense while you were there, or did you run something different?
We ran a version of it. We ran a version. back then when we were running, didn't know how to defend it. Now you got these defensive coordinators who are smart. You know, they know football too, and now they run a lot of mixed coverages, a lot of disguised coverages. So it's not as effective now as it was when we ran it back in the day because nobody knew how to stop it. Now people are just dropping people in coverage and now making the quarterback make a decision and making either you're gonna throw it in the zone or you're gonna throw it up the field. So
let me say something, Coach, because I'm not a guy that I don't hate the spread offense. I do enjoy the spread offense, but this is what I think the problem is as a football guy, as a football nerd. What you were able to do as a quarterback and what other guys were able to do, whether it be Andre Ware, whether it be Case Keenum, whether it be, I forget the guy out of Hawaii that did that. Those are rare skill sets for quarterbacks. Not every guy that takes the snap can do that, Coach, can throw the ball 50, 60 times a game. And the issue is not that they can't physically do it, but the judgment of a quarterback that's having to deliver the ball 50, 60 times. To me, that's the greatest asset of a guy, Coach Brennan. If you're going to do that, you have to have a guy that has impeccable judgment and be really quick mentally. Do you think, and I'm gonna ask you this, do you think guys are putting these spread offenses a lot of time that does not possess the skill set or the mental quickness, arm quickness to actually execute it?
I think in some cases, yes. I mean, you know, I threw the ball one time 75 times in one game. 75. And I completed 46 of those out of that 75. And I think now it's hard to do that because you don't have offensive coordinators who are patient enough, or you don't have head coaches who are patient enough to let a guy throw the ball that many times. Because now everybody now is the run and shoot, and the field get narrow once you get down in that red zone, and it's kind of hard to really throw the football like you want to throw it down there. And I think football is a copycat league. I mean, when you now everybody now is into the RPOs. I mean, the RPOs is nothing but just run or pass. And I think it's a copycat. Everybody's copycatting off of that now because it don't take a skilled quarterback to be able to do that if you got great running backs. So it's just all depends on what you believe in and what you are trying to accomplish.
Coach, what I'm simply saying is, I'm sure Coach Cooley tried to replicate this same offense with a different quarterback. Did it ever reach the heights that it had when you were the trigger man?
I don't think it did because Thomas Leonard was the quarterback the year after me, and his stats was nowhere near my stats. So I think it has some merit to it in terms of the skill set of the quarterback. And I think it has also the merit of what the offensive coordinator believe in. I think Coach Cooley saw something in me that I didn't see, and we did some remarkable stuff. And I think if I was quarterback now, I think I can still do the same thing because I think it was just a skill set I had because I had a quick release. I could get the ball out quick. And I think you have guys now who can throw the ball the same way, but I think it's a different mindset.
And Coach, this has been a pet peeve on a lot of the HBCU sports media platforms, and because we have you on, I got to ask you this question: what do you think about quarterback play in the SWAC the past 4 years, and what can be done to improve?
I think it's not so much the quarterback play. I think it's the play calling. I think the coordinators, based on what they're trying to do, really kind of dictate to what that quarterback can do. You know, everybody want to throw the football, but you got to have a quarterback that you believe in, because a quarterback is going to make mistakes. If you throw the football as much as teams want to throw, that quarterback is not going to always be as accurate as you want him to be. And I think coordinators have to understand that. And I think sometimes we get impatient as coordinators, and we don't give that quarterback enough leeway to make those mistakes, because quarterbacks now that I've seen in the conference, you make a mistake, a lot of times coaches take you out, or you playing a dual quarterback, or you playing another quarterback. And I think that's has been the hinder. Either you make a decision of what you're going to do and do it, or you don't do it. And I think that's kind of been what the coordinator believe in.
Now, Coach Cole has a bias in his, as far as play callers and as far as OCs. Coach Cole, I'm gonna be honest with you. Coach Cole says, if you ever took a snap, you have an advantage as a play caller and as a quarterback coach. Do you agree?
I think so. Yes, I agree, because the reason I'm saying that is, I'm not saying that you can't be a great quarterback coach if you never played quarterback, but I'm saying that if you played the game, you know exactly what that feels like, and you know how to instruct and tell that young man who's playing quarterback what to expect and what to look for. And I think it makes a difference when you have played the game or you've taken that snap. You understand what that quarterback is going through.
So what you're saying is, Coach, that's a pretty bold statement for you to say, Coach, when I asked you about the quarterback playing swag. You're putting it basically on coaching and quarterback development. That's what you're simply saying is the issue. It's not a talent issue. It's not a player issue. It's a quarterback. It's a player development and coaching issue.
That's my opinion. Yes, I really think that if you played the quarterback position and you understand what it's going to take, I think you have to develop, and you have to trust, and you have to give him the ring. I mean, you have to let him make those mistakes. Some things you may have to let him work out. And I know winning is everything now, and sometimes, you know, people don't have the patience to wait on the guy. They want a guy to do it right now. And I think if Coach Cooley would have given up on me a long time ago, I wouldn't be in this seat right now. I don't think I would have been the quarterback or developed to be the quarterback I turned out to be, because I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning. And I think Coach Cooley had the faith in me to give me the rein to let me make those mistakes, because one game I threw 6 interceptions, but I threw 9 touchdowns. So it kind of balanced out. But now coordinators don't have that kind of patience. If a quarterback throw an interception now, first thing they want to do is take him out. And I think quarterbacks now, especially in HBCUs, I think sometimes it's a delicate, in a very delicate situation, because winning is so prevalent now that if you don't win, you out of there. So I think it's just a matter of opinion.
All right, hey, Coach, since we moving on to the coaching spot and talking about dual quarterbacks, I know at Southern University, you was in exactly that situation there, you know. And I know, you know, you was just the quarterback coach. You wasn't the offensive coordinator, and you correct me if I'm wrong. And you guys had a dual situation there. You know, matter of fact, it actually got one of the head coaches let go. What was going on there? That's some of the things that you were talking about? You know, because when you're not that coordinator, you know, you're just the quarterback coach, then definitely you gotta do what they ask you to do. How was that situation? Because y'all had 2 guys there, and they were battling back and forth, and it seemed like they battled through the whole season. But you agree when I agree that when you choose that guy, you got to let that guy, you got to trust him. You got to let him make some mistakes. My thing is, I've always said, as long as when he comes off the field, he's talking quarterback talk instead of some about he's seen and what. He's got to give me some reasons and everything else. So how was that situation at Southern?
Well, I thought we had two good quarterbacks. Now I'm not against a playing two quarterbacks. I'm not totally against that. I think you have to go along with what the head coach want to do, and I have always been a team player, regardless of what I think should go. But if that's the way the head coach or the coordinator want to go, that's where I'm going to ride, and that's the way I'm going to try to get those quarterbacks to understand that. And that's what we did at Southern. When I was at Southern, I thought Noah was a good quarterback. I thought Blood at the time was a good quarterback. But they both guys brought something different to the game. Noah was more of a dual threat. Blood was more of a drop back, accurate passer. And it just was a feel. It was a feel who moving the football, and that's what we went with. And I was in supportive of that all the way. And the same thing with the next year, basically the same thing. Whatever the head coach want to do or whatever the coordinator want to do, that's what I'm going to roll with.
Coach, were you there with Coach Dooley as well?
Yes, I came in. Coach Dooley is who hired me.
Were you there the first year when
Yes.
when y'all? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Coach. So go ahead.
Well, I was gonna move on to now. You would stayed the quarterback coach, right? And then now you here at Fort Valley State University. How did that kind of come about? Were you ready to go? Was it opportunity to take a coordinator spot?
Basically, that's what happened. I mean, Coach Marlon Watson, who's our head coach, we worked together at Alabama A&M, and he had an opportunity to be a head coach. And when we talked about it, and I interviewed with him for it, it was the fact that when Johnny, when you're in this game, you have to kind of go with people that you know, and I was very grateful and very thankful that Coach Watson thought about me to give me the opportunity to be a coordinator. At Southern, I was okay. I was pleased at Southern being the quarterback coach. I thought Coach Frederick, we worked well together. He was the offensive coordinator and the running back coach, and I was the quarterback coach, and I thought we worked well together. But whenever you get an opportunity to be able to coordinate, and I thought it was just the right time when I got that opportunity to call it again, and I took that opportunity, and I think I made a pretty good decision.
Now, Coach Totten, Coach Cole prides himself and relishes the fact to call plays. He you see him smiling, Coach, every time I talk about calling plays. You see what he's doing right there? That's what he do. And I see you got a smile on your face, Coach. Will you be calling the plays at Fort Valley State?
Yes, I will be. And along with Coach, I'm going to consult with him and what he want to do. I'm going to pretty much run the offense. But whatever Coach want to see, if he want to see something, we're going to collaborate together, and we're going to be able to make it work. I mean, the way Coach have talked to me, and Coach Marlon said that, it's going to be my offense. But I really believe in working together with the entire offensive staff. I think I got a great staff, and we're going to coordinate, and we're going to put it together. And, only one guy can call it. But I think everybody will have some input. The wide receiver coach, the offensive line coach, and also with the head coach. Everybody will have some input on what we're going to do. And we want to win. And I think that's what Coach's motto is. It doesn't really matter what we're going to run. Is winning is the answer at the end of the day.
Now, is he an offensive guy or a defensive guy?
No, Coach is a defensive guy. Coach been a defensive coordinator He's mainly been linebacker, special team guy. But I know, Coach, he gonna pay attention to what's going on the offense, and we want him to, because we want him to be in tune of what we're doing offensively. And that's some things from a defensive standpoint that he may see that we may need to do offensively. What we need to attack. Being a defensive coordinator, being a defensive guy, he know the weakness. He know what to attack. And if he say, "Hey, Coach, we need to attack the weak side of a defense," that's what we're going to do. We're going to attack the weak side of the defense.
So, Coach, in other words, if the play is Y, a spider 2 Y banana, you're going to be making the call to the quarterback. The stuff behind the scenes, you guys have to work out. But you will be communicating directly with the quarterback about what the play is.
That's the plan. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you guys had spring practice. You've gotten in there, and how you feel as far as where you guys are coming out of the spring?
Well, we didn't actually do a full spring. We got in 9 days. We just kind of wanted to feel the guys, and it was more of a trust factor for us. And Coach was trying to build that trust factor among the players, and the players trusting us, we trusting the players, and trying to put a piece together. We had an opportunity to go out for 8 days, and we did kind of see what we can and cannot do. Our numbers was a little small, but I think we accomplished a lot during the spring. I think we had an opportunity to evaluate some guys and know what we needed to go out and try to recruit. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. I think we're still looking for some pieces. But for the most part, I think we have a base in place, and now we just have to go and build from that.
Yeah. Now, what are the areas that you coming in and doing your evaluation that you think you guys had to improve in? I guess mostly just on the offensive side of the ball.
I think offensively, we got to improve on offensive line. I think we end up coming out of spring with, I think, 12, 13 offensive linemen. We were able to go out and sign a few more guys, talk to a few more guys, and I think that's the big improvement. I think we once we improve the offensive line play, I think skill guys, I think we're okay at the skill position because we have a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent here. I think we okay at the running back position. I think we okay. We've got a few more wide receivers, but our biggest focus on offense was mainly increasing our depth on the offensive line.
Yeah, when I did that game, I could remember and knowing the coaching staff over, they like to run the football. They had a whole bunch of running backs that were pretty doggone good. Against Clark, I think they rushed over 200 yards that game. But I also hear that you guys lost your quarterback. Did he go in the portal?
Yes, I think he went in the portal. I think he's at Johnson C. Smith.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm surprised that you guys had a big time wide receiver, but I think he graduated.
He did.
Yeah. But you had a stable running backs. Did they all stay, or did some of them leave as well?
Well, I think the majority of the guys, they only had a senior, one guy to leave. The other running backs are back. I think that may be the strength of the team right now is the running backs. Because we got a couple of kids that can really play. I was very impressed with them in the weight room. Very impressed with how they approach the game, and the running back situation is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, good.
Well, Coach, let me ask a quick pop quiz. How many of the kids actually know who you are?
Well, I don't quite get into that as much. Only thing I tell the kids is just Google me, and I think they get a kick out of that. But I get a kick out of telling them that too. So I'm not a guy that try to wear my stuff on my sleeve. I just try to work hard and get those guys to understand they believe in what I'm doing and what I'm teaching that they can be successful. And the rest of it, they just have to do that on their own.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Coach, I gotta ask you this, Coach. Can you still spin it?
I probably can throw it about 5 or 6 times, and after that, I think I need to rub down. But yeah, I do still throw a little bit with the guys, but not as much as I used to. But these guys now, they can throw the ball, man. They can throw 60, 70 yards
Yeah.
with no problem. But I try to stay away from that. I'm an old guy now, and I try to stay in my lane.
Yeah. Now, who are you ready to call a signal caller, or you gonna wait till you get back in the fall?
I think we're going to wait. I think we had 4 guys that went through the spring, and I was pleased with their performance. But this thing starts all over again. What you did in the spring was just in the spring. I think when we start fall camp, we're gonna start all over again, and we're gonna do it, evaluate again, and the guy who come on top will be the guy who's gonna lead this team, and hopefully we'll come up with that decision probably before we play our first game.
Coach, I know you want to throw that thing, Coach, but do you have some targets out there to get the ball to?
Well, I kind of toned down a little bit from that. I kind of felt in that Johnnie Cole mode. I know he liked to throw the football, but Johnny and them, they have ran the football very well too. And as a head coach, you have to shift gears a little bit. When I was a head coach, guys want to throw the football every down, but you got to pay attention to what defense is doing too. You don't want to wear your defense out. You get an opportunity to run the football. You're going to run the football, and you get an opportunity to throw the football. And that's what we're going to do. I think we pretty much going to be 50-50. And I developed that over the years. And yes, I like to throw the football, but if we can run the football, we're going to run the football just as much as we're going to throw it. And I know that take a lot of pressure off of the defense.
Do you have some guys to throw it to?
We were pretty impressed in the spring. We're going to go out and we got some guys that we looked at that we feel they're going to come in and add to what we had in the spring. But we feel pretty good where we are, though. If we can beef up on that offensive line, I think our skill position going to be able to match up with anybody in this conference this fall.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Fort Valley State it surprised me when I went out there on campus, the beautiful campus, and I see why they get good athletes out there, because it sits out in a pretty area. I think that the opportunity to get an opportunity to play out in Fort Valley, which is down in nowhere, I was surprised it's so far from Atlanta, that we had to stay in some other area. I can't think of the area. But the stadium is beautiful. So what can we look, when we do our countdown of where people gonna land at, where you think you guys are at as far as returning and what you have seen on the film?
To be honest, I really don't know. I mean, with the pieces that we got coming back and the pieces that we added, of course we got to come in. The guys got to gel together. We got to get the continuity. But from my history, being in this conference, I had opportunity to coach at Clark Atlanta, had opportunity to coach at Albany State. Now since I've been here, there's no doubt that Fort Valley is going to be in the mix. I think we're going to be in the mix at the top. When it all said and done, I think we're going to be in the mix. Now, where we fall is going to be based on injuries, going to be based on continuity, and hopefully we'll finish at the top at the end of the day.
The Wildcats.
That's right,
AJ.
Wildcats, man. I'm a Wildcat. I've been
Yeah.
a lot of things, boy. I was a Wildcat in high school, and now I'm back a Wildcat again. So that's amazing how things come full circle.
Well, Willie Totten, man, we go back 40 years, man, and I appreciate your time and your effort. I know we'll keep you on here an hour and a half of your time, and it's off season. I try to tell people this is the best time for coaching because they off. You know,
That's
man, I
right.
think you might be off, but you say
Yeah,
you've been
well,
there about 3 months. You got y'all playbook straight. I mean, you good to go. I appreciate you coming on the show, man, and I'm gonna let these guys say their last little piece, and then we're gonna give you your last little piece.
okay. I appreciate it, Johnny. I appreciate you, brother.
I just
Yeah.
want to, Coach Totten, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. You know, initially I didn't know a lot about HBCU football, but one thing I did know, I knew who Willie Totten and Jerry Rice was, even when I was growing up. And so it's a pleasure to have you on. And Coach Cole said you're a great football player and coach, no doubt, but you're an even better person, and I tend to agree with him based on the experience we've had setting up this interview. And I want to thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you, Rock, man. And it takes guys like you to get the story out, man. And you guys continue to do what you guys are doing. I think you guys are doing an outstanding job. People need to know the stories. And if you don't have guys like yourself putting the story out there, people will never know. And you guys keep doing what you guys doing, man. And anything that I can do over here at Fort Valley to help you guys, just call me. And JC know he can call me. We talk all the time, and whatever I can do to help you guys, I appreciate it.
Well, Coach, I want to do my part because, like I told you, and I think for a lot of people from Mississippi, how proud we are of you because you were a black quarterback that threw the ball, that was cerebral. You broke all the stereotypes that many people talked about being a quarterback. So I'm just going to lead people so they understand, again, who this man was. Again, we're talking about the FCS all-time leader in career passing TDs, ranked second in career passing yards with 13,000. His 5,000 passing yards in 1984 was a single-season record. He twice led the nation in passing efficiency. 5 times in coach's career, he passed for over 530 yards, including a 599-yard game against Prairie View, and was an All-American and setting the all-time single-season touchdown passing mark of 56 for all of it, plus the 2 that he did in the playoffs for a total of 58. So, Coach, like I said, as a fellow Mississippian, I appreciate you being on. I appreciate your legacy, and I hope that these young people understand if it wasn't for you, there would not be the Shadors and the Cam Wards and the Michael Vicks and all these other guys that people root for because you guys laid the groundwork for those guys.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And only thing I can do is do what God had put me on this earth to do, and I'm going to continue to try to guide and lead these guys now, and hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more from Willie Totten at Fort Valley State University.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
God,
Hey,
go ahead.
I got to ask Campbell this, right? Campbell, who is on the Mount Rushmore of Mississippi quarterbacks?
So you got to start with Steve McNair. Then you go and see now, because here's the thing. Brett Favre did not have the college career that Coach Totten had. So we're just talking college. But just to say, don't matter what order, Steve McNair, Willie Totten, Brett Favre,
Manning,
and Archie Manning. Yeah.
now, Archie and the son.
Yeah, well, Eli went on
Eli.
this. Peyton did not. And I always tell people Eli was the better quarterback because he wasn't scared for that smoke. Peyton was too scared to carry the mantle of his daddy's legacy. That's why he took his behind up to Tennessee because he was scared.
And then there's another guy they used to call Superman at Jackson State. I can't call his name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
So
Yeah,
Terry O doesn't make the Mount Rushmore?
No, man, listen. See, this is what I'm saying. Those guys, Ken and all those guys, listen, there's levels to this. Those guys, as they say, they might be able to come to the club, but they ain't in the VIP.
No, it's another guy named John McKenzie.
Yeah, but even those guys, Coach, I'm gonna be honest with you. When you're talking about McNair and Totten, just on the HBCU level. It's way, you know, so funny. Scott and them were doing their little quarterback thing. And again, I know what Perry was saying was that, you know, I can only do the people that I watch. Well, you know what? You need to go find some old film because all them guys could not hold the jock strap to McNair and Totten. And it's them two, and Rocky's not even close. I mean, I'm just telling you.
So you bring up another great point. I'm going to ask Coach Cole this question. Who is on the Mount Rushmore of SWAC quarterbacks?
Jesus Christ, Coach.
Well, then we
I know a lot. You talking about Eldridge Dickey, of course those two. Of course those two. You know, Doug Williams, man. You know, it was just been so many, man. Brian Ransom, Tennessee State.
No,
you know,
well, he's not in the SWAC, Coach.
Well, they would have to have a down mountain over about 10 skulls.
No, I'm just talking about SWAC. SWAC.
Yes.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, you got, you know, of course, those two, Willie Totten, McNair. I like the John McKenzie at Jackson State, won 3 SWAC championships in a row at quarterback. But he had a great tailback in the counters, and another kid, I can't think of his name, but you probably can think of his name. Shador, you know, he came in and threw for what, 4,000 yards in one season. You know, his name got to be mentioned.
So let me say this. Now, I'm not a SWAC historian, but this is who I would have based on everything I've put in. Y'all tell me how this would be. Of course, it'd be Steve McNair, it'd be Willie Totten, it would be Doug Williams, and I'd have to put Bruce Eugene.
Yeah. See, that's another great one. You know, I had the pleasure of either playing against those guys or watching them play. I can remember when Steve McNair was flushed out the pocket and he was running towards our bench. And man, he threw a ball. You could hear the wind off of it. Willie Totten, Bishop, he invented the fade throw, the go route. He in the spin on the ball. If you ever, and we'll get a chance to meet him, Rocky, when we travel a little bit. When he shakes your hand, Rock, he swallows it. When he say he got big hands, he got big hands. Every time I always be trying to look at, man, don't be putting them big hands on me, man. Yeah.
Coach, now you know who gonna call us, Coach. You know, I forgot one person, but this was more. We can't forget James Shaq Harris too.
Yeah, you can't. But Eldridge Dick, you know, you can't.
And I'm just saying SWAC because, like I said, Dickey was a Tennessee State guy. But I'm just saying SWAC when you're talking about, and that's the thing, Rocky. When you go back and look at,
but Harris, he didn't have the numbers back then because they ran the ball a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But he was special because he was one of the first to go into the NFL.
Yeah,
you know.
So let me ask you this: if we do the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, does anybody in the MEAC, and this is HBCU now, so we're opening it up to the SWAC, MEAC, Independence, CIAA, SIAC, who would you put on that? Is it any different than the SWAC Mount Rushmore?
See, we always in the SWAC have been tossing the ball around. The MEAC was more defense and run game. They had a kid out of North Carolina Central, but that's when Central was Division II. So you can't really put him up in the numbers. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking Florida A&M, Coach. I can't think of a guy that really put the big numbers up. Because the MEAC has always been that tough, rough. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Jay Skywalker. I gotta say that name.
Yeah.
Because he's in the Hall of Fame.
He goes on the Mount Rushmore?
Yes. Jay Skywalker.
Which guy do you take off? You take off Bruce Eugene?
Oh, no. You can't take off Bruce Eugene now.
You take off Willie Totten?
No. You got to go. We would have to go with them 4.
No, but we're saying we already got 4. We got Doug, we have Willie Totten, we have Steve McNair, and we have Bruce Eugene. And if you
the only reason why Doug is up there because he went on to be successful in the NFL. His numbers weren't incredible, But Doug, they were just winning so much. The show was on the road. It was Showtime Grambling.
Okay.
So when you look at the numbers, you got to put Jay Skywalker up in there too.
So you're saying now? Let me catch this right.
And coach, I forgot. I coached 2 of them at Tennessee State. I forgot about Leon Murray, who was a 3,000 yarder and a Heisman candidate as well. You know, so
Coach, and I'll tell you what, Coach, I'm gonna tell you who I forgot too was a bad boy, and I don't know if we said it, was Sean Gregory.
Sean Gregory. Sean Gregory. He came in after McKenzie.
Well, he came after Boyd.
Gerald Ashbury.
Yeah.
And what about the kid we were just talking about? The kid they used to call Superman.
Yeah, Kent.
Jackson State. Kent was a bad boy. Kent's throwing motion was just awkward, but he was a bad boy too. And these guys are 3,000. This is the 3,000-yard passers. Let's start right there. So if you didn't throw for 3,000, you can't be on Mount Rushmore. That would knock off Doug. That would knock off Gregory. That would knock those guys off. Then you left with Totten, McNair, Eugene, and maybe Leon Murray, who was a 3,000-yard passer.
What about Jay? Did Jay go over 3,000?
Jay Skywalker. Yeah, I think he had 1 year 3,000 too. So that's. So
what about this guy says? Me Jones. It may be a lady. So excuse me, I'm not sure. She says Bruce Eugene was the greatest QB at the HBCU level I ever saw. Well,
he was the biggest. You can say that. But boy, and he could spin it, boy. He could spin it with the best, boy. He could do it, man. Smart, very intelligent. He beat me. He beat me in the SWAC championship game.
Should we even acknowledge this from Glenn Big Baby Davis?
Listen, Akil Glass, man. Listen, as far as new era quarterbacks, yeah, I mean new era guys. I mean, we threw 3,000 at least twice.
Yeah. So
but here's the other thing. Hold on. Here's the other thing that all them dudes done. They won. They won championships.
Let me just ask a couple questions because we got in this conversation we're missing a lot of schools. So I just want you to give me a quarterback from. Give me the. I'll let you give me the Southern guy, Mr. Campbell. Who's the greatest Southern quarterback of all time?
Man, I'm gonna let Coach answer that because I'm gonna be honest with you. Cause I'm just trying to think of Southern always had like dual threat quarterback. They just didn't have a guy that was just like slinging.
When I was there, they had 2 quarterbacks. I recruited one of them. Was Eric Randall, who won the SWAC championship twice.
I remember him. Wasn't he an LSU
but he wasn't
guy too?
Yeah, he wasn't no passer though. He was a
LSU guy though,
and a guy named Sam George from Southern. He was he was about 5'8". I recruited him out of Opelousas, and man, he could throw it, Coach. He could throw it like he could throw it.
So we already took care of it's kind of like Jackson State, Mississippi Valley, and Alcorn. Let's talk about Alabama State. I think we all can agree that Tavares Jackson.
Yeah. Man, Coach, I forgot, man. Darnell Kennedy, 3,000-yard passer, ranked in the top 5 in NCAA throwing the football. Started 4 years in a row. Incredible. I had opportunity to coach him. He was incredible. He played in a Senior Bowl down in Mobile. That tell you how good he was. I forgot all about him. You know, he broke a lot of broke some conference records as well.
Okay. So is that Alabama State or is that
Alabama State?
Alabama State, yeah.
So Akil Glass, Alabama A&M.
Couldn't touch. He couldn't touch Darnell Kennedy. Couldn't touch him, Coach.
So who do we have at FAMU, Coach? Is Musa the greatest quarterback to ever don a?
You had Bonner and
what's my man, the head coach at Albany State?
Quinn Gray.
Woo, he can play.
Yeah, Quinn Gray, Bonner, Quinn Gray.
Yeah. Chris Gray was cold. He was
Yeah,
cold
that's
with
the
it.
one that we run that Gulf Coast offense and we were just killing everybody.
Yeah.
See, Rocky, let me tell you
Ain't no
something.
question.
See, everybody can do that talk, but see, we was winning playoff games.
And
Everybody can't say that. We was winning them.
And what about when we go to the Texas schools? I'm gonna go with KJ Black probably at Prairie View. I don't remember anybody else other than him.
Yeah, KJ Black.
And then I'll let you tell us about Texas Southern, Coach Cole.
Shit, you're looking at it. It's been voted on. It's been voted on, Coach. They voted down, and he was the best quarterback to ever come through Texas Southern. That ain't my words. That's the word down there.
You know, all Central team coach.
Coach, every time. And I didn't throw for 3,000. I threw for 2,500.
Hey, I got my own pick. This is my pick, and Coach, I gotta go. I'm buying.
On a count of three, if you at home with me. 1, 2, 3, and your buddy.
That's the Texas
Stop
Southern quarterback.
with that man.
To me, that's my Texas Southern quarterback right there of all time.
Yeah, he was a flash in the pan, Coach.
Yeah,
he was a flash in the pans, Coach.
Well, hey, I honestly, I hope Andrew is healthy, and I can't wait to see him play this upcoming season at Alabama State, Coach. I'm really looking forward to him playing, and I can't wait.
I had an opportunity to talk with the dad, and they feel real good where they are. They're taking it real easy. He's on a throw count. The surgeon really kind of got in there and cleaned it out real good and tightened it up. And, you know, there's a difference between an orthopedic surgery guy and just a shoulder surgery guy, you know, meaning that, and I can remember when I broke my arm, they put a plate in it and they were letting me know, well, we're doing this because, you know, your career is over at that time. So, you know, you got two different type of doctors, two different, you know, one that deals with these type of injuries wherever he had to fix it the right way so he can continue to play. And then there's some surgeries that they just putting you back together, you know, because it's detached. You know what I mean? So they feel real good. The family feel real good. Body is real good. Coach Robinson down there, they're working him slowly through what he's doing, and I think he'll be ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah, I like I say, I can't wait. It was, you know, I know they lost the game last year, but he had a scintillating performance before he went out with an injury, and so you know, I'm just looking forward to see what he can do. He may be the next great SWAC quarterback.
We're coming down to we're coming down to the end of our show for the summer, but we got one for next week, and Shannon Harris, who's currently the head coach of the DC Defenders for the XFL. He's an HBCU former football player for Tennessee State. He played quarterback as well. So you know, me and him talked, and he would like to be on the show. We would like him to be on the show. So we're looking for that for next week. And they're doing well in the XFL. Check him out this weekend coming. The playoffs have started. They finished #1 in their division during regular season. He's the interim new head coach. He took over from Barlow. So it'll be an exciting time to chat with him and you know, catch up with Shannon Harris.
Hey, Coach. I want to thank you because again, having Willie Totten on was a great show. You know, we have our FAMU guy efforting, so hopefully, maybe by basketball season we'll have Coach Ward on.
We're working on it. Might be sooner than later. Still working on it. He's recruiting, but we're gonna try to get him on before we get up out of here, or have a special edition.
Okay, we may have a special edition. But Coach, I don't have anything else. You guys can wrap it up now, man. But thank you again, Coach. Thank you again, Campbell, for joining me on the show.
All right.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna say this real quick because I think this is very important. Florida A&M has now selected the 13th president to be confirmed by the Board of Governors, a person that we felt was not qualified, a person that we felt was not in the running, a person that we don't feel has the best interests of Florida A&M at heart. And this should really, I see a lot of people, on social media and on these different YouTube channels, they think things are a joke. But I want everybody to understand something. Our HBCUs are the biggest suppliers of African-American wealth and power. And when one of us hurts, all of us hurt. So when they are disrupting and destabilizing, this is part of Project 2025. So you see what they've done at Jackson. You see what they've done at South Carolina State. You see what they've done at Tennessee State. You see what they're doing at FAMU. So I'm asking all my HBCU people to understand that we need to come together and start flexing our muscles. Because if we do not, Coach, what HBCUs, their mission is, they're going to just change it of just going from A to B, not A to Z. So I want everybody to understand that. And like I say, you see the FAMU people, and like I say, shout out to the 4 people that voted against her, and Kristen Harper, our chairwoman, the board of trustees, very proud of her because she did her damn thing. But like I say, I want my people down there in Jackson to fight. Do not let those people once again give you a bad president. That school deserves better. FAMU deserves better. Tennessee State deserves better. And I'm really, really hoping that people do their research and not just make a joke of all these presidents. Again, I know we laugh and have our fun, but this thing has become serious, y'all. This thing has become really serious. And if we allow our flagship universities to be taken over by people that want to do us harm, then that's our failure. So like I say, Coach, we need to tie a rope, Coach. Got to tie that rope. So I appreciate you. Thank you, Coach. And thank you for allowing me to talk to Willie Totten. That was one of my great people that I idolized, and it was an honor to have him on tonight.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. And, just FYI, there's over 20 presidential positions open in HBCUs right now today. Over 20 presidential offices or positions to be the president of colleges in HBCU. We change presidents like we change socks on a shoe sometimes. And it's hard to build continuity when you got so much turnover. One of the things I've always said about when we talked about HBCUs is make sure they got skin in the game. Make sure, and it's a lot of HBCU graduates would love to come back and be a part of these universities. So that's kind of how I seen it. Hopefully we trust in our Board of Regents to choose the right people. But as the world continue to turn and as things continue to happen in our world, but there's a lot of great things. I think social media or media period sometimes put on so much negative stuff that there's so much great happening. So as I always say, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, tie a knot and hold on tight.
And I want $500 for lunch for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.